All right, Ben, welcome back to the panel.
Hey,
And
thanks.
what's up, man? What do you want to debate about tonight?
Hey, I thought this would be an interesting topic. I actually think you cannot give or receive advice about masculinity in general. Every man, it's like more of an art. There is no science about how to be a man, how to get women, how to treat women, any of that. See what I'm saying? Like there are no formulas. It's like I used to teach in high school, and they used to say, you can get a master's degree, you get a bachelor's degree, you get a doctorate in education, but you can't teach someone how to teach. Either you know how to, you know what I'm saying? It's an art, not a science. And I think that's true about relationships and masculinity. Everybody does it different.
Okay, so are you saying that all forms of masculinity should be accepted as masculinity then? Like masculinity is relative based off of just the person and how they feel and how they act?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Am I saying that masculinity is just a relative term? No, there's a real thing of masculinity. Just like a good
Okay,
teacher,
so
there's a real thing. But you can't.
okay, so if it's a real, so that real thing itself, you're saying that it can't be taught.
Yeah, like how they have these guys now, it's very, very big. It's kind of replacing the red pill, which I know you're sort of in, where they say like you can make yourself look more attractive and they do all this stuff with like angles, and they tell you like bash your cheek and all this stuff. I don't think you can say like what is perfectly attractive in a man. It's like there's no one thing, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're saying
Or a
that
woman.
okay, I got you. So
And the same is true of masculinity. I don't think there's a one size fits all at all. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I would say, I'm not trying to be crass, but like women with small breasts, that can be beautiful, middle size or large. Like they can all be, and different guys. There's no like perfect breast size, even though a lot of women do surgery.
So let's start off with the basics first. I
Yeah.
think I get what you're saying. You're saying that, there's not any one size fit all as far as masculinity. Currently, right now, people like Clavicular, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
And has been many people that's been doing it before him. They've been Looksmaxxing. And I guess you're saying that that isn't necessarily not masculine. Who's to say that it's masculine or not masculine is basically up for.
No, I believe that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying
Like,
there
is that up
such
for
thing as
debate?
masculinity.
Okay,
But
so
that
what?
you
So
can't-
Looksmaxxing, is that masculine?
Is that masculine? It depends what you mean by it. Like, obviously, getting in shape is masculine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but
looking
what they
like a
do is
male.
Clav, what he does is he takes he's only 19. He takes testosterone. He takes meth. And then also he does bone
Yeah.
smashing, and then also he's getting double jaw surgery. So he's
Yeah.
getting plastic surgery.
Yeah.
So is would that be considered masculine for a man getting plastic surgery?
Well, see, now you're assuming that I can tell you what the rule is, and I'm saying I think there are some things that.
Well, that's what I'm asking for. So let's just get to the basics then. What's your definition of masculinity?
So it's very hard to define. So I think when you say like, what is a woman? That Matt Walsh thing. What is a woman? I mean, you could define it biologically, but like, you can define what a female is, but a woman, that's like poetry. What's a real woman? Like we say, like there's males and then there's men. What's a real man? Like only like like poetry and art can tell you that, because there's a million different flavors. But then there are men who are not masculine, like violent men who are babies, people who, you know what I mean? We can say like these expressions of males fail. Like I'm very sad about the young generation. You're probably a millennial, is that right?
Yeah.
Generationally, like the Zoomer boys, and I have 4 Zoomer sons. I just don't think they get it. And the problem with them that I'm having is they're asking the question. They've stepped back instead of just trying it. They've stepped back and said, "Can you older men tell us what masculinity is?" And I think that's a mistake for us and for them. No, you figure it out. You can't teach someone.
Okay, so then it's relative then. So if you don't have a clear definition of what masculinity is, then it's relative, and it's it's based off of how people feel, man, or the trends of the time, right? If there's a trend right now, like, Clavicular, I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but Clav, he max looks and he goes to the extent of getting plastic surgery as a man. Is that masculine? Is it not masculine? If you can't define masculinity, then how can you say that?
Define, let me turn it back on you. Can you define beauty?
Yeah,
other than just showing me beautiful woman?
Yeah, so beauty could be measured by symmetry. So science can measure beauty by you being symmetrical.
Really?
Well, it's scientifically proven that the more someone is symmetrical, the more we would find, as far as facial wise, the more people would agree that is beautiful.
Yeah, I understand. Architecturally, you could say that, an architecture.
Now, as far as beauty, beauty itself. Now, some would say, well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's preference based. Some girls may like guys that's 5'8". Other girls may like guys that's they want them real tall, 6'4". So there's another aspect to that as well. And even if it's like music, does that sound good? But that's different from masculinity. Masculinity and femininity has nothing to do with beauty. How is that similar?
I think it's similar. The human person is we're in a sense artists. Our personality, who we are, is an expression of God's nature in a particular personality. That's as a Catholic, we love the saints, because every saint is different than every other saint. There's some saints that are meek little women. There are some saints that are, soldiers. There are some saints that are kings. You can't put it, for example, this thing about I treat my woman like a queen. That can be very masculine. To absolutely be a simp of a woman who deserves it, that's actually very masculine. To say I love this woman so much. I honor and respect her so much.
That wouldn't be called a simp. It's a clear definition for simp. It's basically pedestalizing a woman that didn't deserve it. So if a woman deserves it and you're treating her well and, really loving on her and taking care of her, no, that's what a man should do. That would be considered masculine because the woman deserves it, meaning that she's reciprocating on her end. You're doing things for her, but she's reciprocating the value back in return.
Let me give you an example.
All right, fellas, mission is critical. I was searching my name online and found tons of information that was way too personal. So I thought to myself, who has the ability to leak this type of information? And I found out there's companies called data brokers that profit out of selling your information to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. You already know I've been through many matrix attacks where people create fake pages of mine by using my data, and the same can happen to you. That's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep them off of these sites. They also do other things like bank fraud, identity theft alerts, and also VPN access. I want you to go ahead and utilize my link below in the description box for a 14-day free trial. At least you'll see if you've been compromised or not. Privacy is key nowadays, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link in the description box at aura.com/nofugazi and get 2 weeks free. That's more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed.
Right. Good.
So here's the thing. When we're speaking about masculinity isn't in the category of beauty. Because masculinity is in the category of male and female. It's tied to our biology. It's tied to man and woman. So it's not in the category of beauty. So how I look at masculinity, I tie masculinity to virtues, right? So depending on, for an example, courage, right? Let's just think about some of the virtues. We got courage, we got compassion, we got honesty, we got loyalty, we got all of these things, right? So how I know that something is masculine is if men do not have courage. Like how I know if something is masculine or not masculine, because if we strip the courage away from men, we'll see bad outcomes in society. If all men lose their courage tomorrow, listen, man, in America, Russia would take over, China would take over. We wouldn't be able to secure our borders if all men in America lost their courage. But if all women lost their courage in America, well, we'll be just fine. Like, we'll still be safe and secure, right?
Yeah, right.
So which means that courage would be a masculine trait because men collectively and generally need to maintain their courage or the world or the country will fall to pieces.
I agree that. Yeah. But courage also is beautiful in action. You can say, like, there's beautiful stories of, like, when men defended a city against massive odds, right? It's sort of a beautiful story. It makes a good story, it makes a good movie, and it's attractive in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
But courage does not appeal to beauty in order for it to be considered courage.
What does it appeal to?
Well, what I'm saying is courage does not appeal. You said that beauty can you can see that courage is beautiful, that it can have beauty in it. Yeah. That's not my point. I would say that, it can have, a beauty aspect within courage. But the difference is beauty would have to appeal to courage, but courage never has to appeal to beauty.
Well, let me ask you. So there's three transcendentals. One's called the true, the good, and the beautiful. And you're talking about the good when you talk about virtue, right? And you're saying truth and beauty are not relevant when you're talking about good. But you can never have something that's true that's also not beautiful and that's not good. And I think that's a problem we have in the modern world. We think we can separate them. And when you said beauty has to do with male and female, what you're talking about is sexuality.
That isn't true. That isn't true because what are you saying? You can have courage to, it takes some courage to rob a bank. So what you're saying is just wrong. It can take some. It can
attractive to women. That's interesting.
It can take some courage to do certain things that was once again the beauty aspect would be subjective, is what I'm saying. So the beauty aspect is the beauty aspect. How you're trying to tie that in, that would be a subjective measure based off of the person's perspective. Okay. I'm tying masculinity and femininity to virtues.
Okay, but what I'm saying, and I agree with you to some degree, but it is somewhat masculine to rob a bank or to commit a crime that's violent. It is somewhat masculine. I would say it falls short of like true masculinity, but it is somewhat attractive, and it is somewhat masculine and is quite attractive to women. Now, what's interesting, I don't know if you've ever seen this. They asked women what
but
they see as
I wouldn't say
right?
that is masculine.
Not at all.
No, I would
make the plans. Who's strong enough? It takes a certain amount of courage to face death.
Yeah, no. So once again, from your worldview, if you believe that, then you would also believe in toxic masculinity. I don't believe in toxic masculinity. I don't believe that masculinity can be toxic because I believe that masculinity is good. I tie it to virtues.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying I don't think criminal activity is really masculine. I think that most gangbangers are like feminine, really, and most mafia guys are feminine type of guys. But you have to admit there is some degree. It's similar in a certain sense to like going to war, where you're willing, like it takes a certain amount of courage to put your life on the line, even for criminal activity. And it's attractive to women.
That's two different things, man. So going to war, so we're having two different conversations. You keep going to like attractiveness to women.
Yeah.
And then you keep like putting in masculinity. Masculinity does not appeal to women. Oh, well, since women are attracted to it, then I'm masculine. That does not prove masculinity from my worldview.
I agree. Not necessarily.
Well, listen, the thing is, I would say that's simpery, not masculinity. If you have to appeal to a woman to be masculine, then obviously you're not masculine. You're feminine.
Well, do you think women
because you're appealing to the woman?
Do you think women are overall attracted to masculinity?
Women have complex attraction triggers where they're attracted to many different things, right? So women are attracted to bad boys. They're also attracted to simps because they can get their way. They're attracted to bad boys because sometimes they want a man that can put their foot down. They want a man that's a little bit hard to figure out and a little mysterious. So women attraction triggers are very complex.
They're attracted to violent men also. right?
Well, that's because one of the reasons why they're attracted to not violence itself,
Right.
but if you peel back the layer to violence, what it signals to women is that, well, he'll have the ability to protect me
Right.
if, times get hard.
Right. So, all right, here's my question to you. Let me run this by you. So, a lot of times, older men will tell younger men, or just men will tell each other, you need to always be in control of your emotions. Don't show a lot of emotion. So that's like a form of stoicism, right? That you need to be stoic. You need to be steady Eddie when the waters are swirling around, because women and children need men to do that. I would say that's sometimes true, but not in every case. That very emotional men can be very masculine. Like Jesus wept when Lazarus died, right? So he cried, and that's not stoic.
Yeah, so real quick. So there's a fine line between some things. Like, you're throwing everything in there and you're coming to a conclusion. Mm-hmm. If it's the case that a man, so one, all human beings have emotions. And all human beings express their emotions at different times, right? So when we're speaking about emotions and men being emotional around women, generally speaking, it wouldn't be in a man's best interest to be emotional outward, like too emotional around a woman, because since women, why are women with men? One of the reasons why is because, like, they're attracted to men for their ability to protect, provide, and give them security. So if the man is overly emotional, this would express to the woman that he doesn't have the ability to really make her feel secure because he's very emotional. How can a woman feel secure with a man that isn't sure of himself? He's unsure of his own self or unsure of his own situation. Therefore, the woman won't feel real secure. So from a general perspective, it's not in a man's best interest to be overly emotional, because the woman can lose, not will, but she can lose a degree of attraction. And that degree of attraction that she would lose it for would be in the category of her feeling secure.
Okay, but now you say women want to feel secure. That's true for some women and at some times, but also, do you agree girls just want to have fun? Like, girls want to have fun in life.
But they want to have fun. Like, why do you think that women go out in groups? Why do you think that women actually like to go out with guy friends? Because they can have fun, but also in that girl group, they'll feel safe. They'll feel secure. Girls don't go out alone. Girls want to have fun with their guy friends because these guys that I put in my friend zone, well, I know nothing going to happen to me. These guys are big. They're going to protect me. So they can feel like they can have the most fun in those situations. Girls don't want to have fun alone. Well, because it really won't feel fun because they won't feel secure.
Well, do you know what women, I'm not going to get into, do you know what women, what do women fantasize about? They fantasize about being a man who can protect them, but also is dangerous to them. They actually like men who, will check them if they go astray. They find that exciting. Don't you think? So
real quick, the conversation is going kind of all over. You came in and your argument was, you really didn't fully make an argument. It was kind of loose. You kind of wanted to get my perspective on it. But is your position on masculinity is that it's relative? Because you really haven't gave me a definition. I gave you a definition, but you haven't given me a definition.
You gave me a definition of masculinity. You tied it to virtue?
I tied masculinity to virtues.
Okay.
I tie masculinity to virtues.
Okay, I think it's tied into beauty, truth, and goodness, all three. But it's also something different than that. And I don't think you can, there's some things you can't define. They're called axiomatic things, right? You can't define what you and I couldn't define what life is. I mean,
I did define masculinity for you. Want me to go ahead and define it again?
Can I just try this with you? Can you define what, we both know what life is, but you can't define life.
You use life as an analogy to express that masculinity, the term is similar, that it really can't be defined. I already proved that I can define it, but the analogy is nonsensical because we are alive. Therefore, we can experience masculinity, which means that we can define it, which I just tied it to virtues. I'll repeat it again. I'll give you my definition. You never gave me a definition, so you are trying to hold me to the same standard. Listen, you are trying to hold me to your same standard just because you can't give a definition. You're saying, well, coolly, I'm holding you to the same standard. I just want to accept your definition. My definition is very simple. Masculinity and femininity are tied to virtues.
So how are they different?
Listen,
how are they different?
I just explained. I'll explain
How
it
is
again.
masculinity different than femininity?
I'll explain it again. Here we go again. No, I'll explain it again.
We don't have to define either of them. We know what
listen. No, listen. What? Okay, we don't have to define that. Doesn't even make any sense. We don't have to define it, but we know what it is. Well, how do you know what it is if you don't have to define it? You know what life is because you experience. You're using, like, the analogy of life was just dumb. But let me go ahead and explain it to you again, right? So as far as masculinity, I tie it to virtues. Courage would be a masculine virtue because if men...
too. You say it's tied to virtue, but that's not a definition. It doesn't define.
You're not listening. I'll go ahead and say it again.
Doing the Andrew Wilson thing.
No, I'll go ahead and explain it again.
You don't have to do this.
No, I'll go ahead and explain it again. It's super simple, right? Now, it's not to say that all of these virtues, people don't utilize these virtues. Men and women utilize courage, honesty, compassion, loyalty, all of these things. All of us utilize these virtues. But how we know which virtue is ties to the man or ties to the woman more is we look at the outcomes. If men lose courage, much worse outcomes is if women lose courage. If men are promiscuous, okay, bad. But if women are promiscuous, the outcomes is much more worse than if the man is promiscuous, right? So what I'm saying is, listen, I'm making a clear distinction between things. So courage in a man is valued more than courage in a woman.
Depends what you mean by courage, but yeah, like physical.
Loyalty. What I'm saying is honesty within a man. Honesty within a man, we can say they're both valued, right? It's both valued. But like if all women start lying, like it ain't gonna be the end of the world.
Yeah, they're lying.
But if all men start lying, nuclear bombs gonna be flying, it's gonna be destruction, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. This is me giving you a definition and also explaining the distinction between masculinity and femininity.
Because this is the Andrew Wilson thing, and this is like a certain thing people do on the internet is trying to define things and then say, once we get a definition, we can move there. Sometimes you can't do that. Like another example, I could give you a number. What is the definition of fun? What's fun? Like no one can really define it. What's good music?
Just because you can't give a definition of masculinity and I can, does not mean that masculinity is relative.
You and I can talk about masculinity. We both know what we're talking about.
No, I don't.
Some differences, but it's very hard to nail down. Right? It's hard to nail
Okay, let me ask you a question then. A man wearing a dress, like you was on my stream last time wearing a dress, and literally wearing women's garments, is that masculine?
As opposed to being like too afraid to do that because you think it looks gay? Yes, definitely. I'll go even further.
So if all men dress like women, is that would that be something that's good if all men dress like women?
No, but I'm saying in a particular circumstance.
So in my worldview, it isn't good. It's not never good for even if you said that you're a Christian. Even in biblical scriptures, it tells you not to put on the clothes of a woman and for women not to put on clothes of a man. It tells you these things. It makes clear distinctions. So therefore, you believe that masculinity and femininity is relative based off how you feel. I do not believe that.
No, I'd say it's relative to the circumstance.
You put on a dress, but you still believe that that's masculine. Obviously, that is relative to you because you believe that. I don't believe that. I tie masculinity to virtues.
To you, that being
you did not prove
of
to
putting
me.
a dress on is ridiculous.
No. Who said afraid? The simple fact that you would.
Well,
do you have to be afraid of something to not do it? Let me ask you this question.
So
listen. If you don't do something, does that mean that you're afraid?
No.
So then, stupid, that was dumb what you said. You put on the dress to show me that you weren't afraid. That didn't show me that you were afraid. That showed me that you were feminine.
Well, okay, so like there's two masculine qualities here. One, I think that men should want to succeed in whatever they're doing. So I did that for Clout, and I think it was definitely worth it. I wouldn't normally put on a dress. Would be no reason for me to.
But by doing so, you lost your self-dignity.
You had said you would give me, or someone, you said someone, if they give you money, would you put on a dress? I said, absolutely, because I want to make money. I want to get that bag.
But by doing so, you lost yourself. You have no self-dignity. You have zero dignity if you do that.
No. Let's say this. Okay, so normally I wouldn't go to a gay
But you're appealing to women. You just said you're more attractive to women, X, Y, Z. So you're appealing to women to see if you're masculine?
What women find attractive is generally masculinity, yes. Yeah, that's a good test.
Bro just said putting on a dress, appealing to women is masculine. So this is simp behavior.
To women is No, I didn't appeal to women. I said what is appealing to women, generally speaking, is masculine.
No, right? That is not true because women are
what appeals to men.
Wrong. Hey. Listen, man. Listen. Women are susceptible creatures. They're more susceptible than men, generally speaking, meaning that they're more likely to be influenced by things. They're more likely to go with the trends of the time, to fit in. That's women's nature. Women have a different ontology than men. They're more susceptible than us. You say that you're a Christian. Why wasn't Adam influenced by the serpent, but Eve was? Because she's more susceptible. So you don't appeal to the woman. You have the spirit of Adam appealing to the woman. This is why Adam bit the apple, to appeal to the woman. This is why you put on a dress, to get some clout, to be attractive to women, to appeal to women. This is called simpery.
I think women do have fashions and stuff like that, but I do think overall women find are absolutely consumed with male masculinity much more than men are towards women.
When you use masculinity, bro, I don't know what you're talking about because you didn't define it. You know what I'm talking about when I use masculinity. Now, when you speak, I just think that masculinity is putting on a dress. I don't know what you're talking about.
We both know what we're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You would say, I would agree with you that if I put a dress on by myself for no reason, that's not masculine. That seems like the opposite of masculinity. I agree with that. We both know what we're saying. But
your reason was clout. So doing something for attention is masculine?
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. For clout, to build a career, absolutely. Advertising, you just advertise.
Losing your self-dignity. So no, listen, losing your self-dignity for attention is masculine? Going off of your... So it's principle-based. It's principle-based as well. Would you normally just wear a dress? No, you wouldn't normally wear a dress. Because
but if I was Scottish,
therefore you put on a dress in my last stream to get attention, which means that you went outside of your principles, which is not masculine.
All right, well, let's get back to the debate. You said
this is the debate. We hit on the debate now. You losing the debate.
Should give and receive.
You're losing. Listen, you're losing these arguments, so you want to move the goalpost now since you're losing. This is the debate. We're speaking about masculinity now, real quick.
Well, the debate
Go ahead. I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Literally was men should give, and I said men should not give and receive advice about masculinity from other men.
Listen, the reason why you said that, your reasoning was because, well, it's not really definitional based. We have no definition of it.
There are no rules. There are no absolute rules.
What are you speaking about? From my definition, there are rules.
So give me a rule. Give me one rule.
I just told you.
Give me a rule.
Listen, bro. I already went through it all. If you don't understand, I don't think you'll ever understand.
You think like a piece of advice.
So real quick,
you think men should get? Because I would say,
I just told you that I tie masculinity to virtues. I made the distinction of masculinity and femininity. I can go through more virtues if you want me to, and I can make a distinction for masculinity and femininity to any virtue you want.
So give me a piece of advice that you think a man should give another man or another man should receive.
Yeah, don't put on dresses. So if you like that clip and you want to watch more, click right here. But if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.